This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. For too long, women's serious midlife health issues have been trivialized, ignored, and met with a just deal with it attitude. Many of us have been made to feel ashamed or forgotten. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But here's the powerful truth. It's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI is not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic, founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. What sets MIDI apart? We are the only women's telehealth brand covered by major insurance companies, making high-quality expert care accessible and affordable. Our clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. We offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions, from hormonal therapies and weight loss protocols to lifestyle coaching and preventative health guidance. This isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will join our patients who feel seen, heard, and prioritized. You will find that our mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the health care they deserve. Because we believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com helping people worldwide getting work done faster and better. The same Monday.com designed for every team and every industry. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com that your team will actually love using. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free. Yes, the same Monday.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, SHOW, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. This Open Line Friday, 877-973-7425. As always, text ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. We actually have a more significant problem than either side wants to deal with. We knew this day was coming. That day is now here. This is the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. national debt now exceeds 100% of gross domestic product, crossing a once unthinkable threshold on the way toward breaking the record set in the wake of World War II. As of March 31st, the country's publicly held debt was $31.265 trillion, while gross domestic product over the preceding year was $31.216 trillion, according to data released Thursday. That puts the ratio at 100.2%, compared with 99.5% when the last fiscal year ended September 30th. That figure will climb for the foreseeable future because the federal government is running historically large annual deficits of nearly 6% of GDP, which add to the debt. The government is spending $1.33 for every dollar it collects in revenue. And the budget deficit this year is projected at $1.9 trillion. That is little change from 2025 when Republicans' tax cuts kick in before their spending cuts take effect. The final tally will depend on Iran war spending, tariff refunds, and the strength of the economy. By itself, the milestone doesn't mean much. There isn't a special level where debt goes from problematic to catastrophic. And the ratio might bounce around in coming quarters as tax receipts come in, tariff refunds go out, and GDP fluctuates in response to inflation and revision. Still, the triple-digit mark is a potent symbol of the fiscal stresses on the U.S. that have been building for decades. Lawmakers in both parties have expressed alarm but given priority to tax cuts and spending increases with clearer short-term political benefits. The debt-to-GDP ratio is economists' preferred metric for how much the country's borrowing weighs on the economy. As it rises, debt consumes resources that could be used more productively elsewhere. The government is sensitive to interest rates as debt grows. $1 in $7 of federal spending now goes to interest. Without changes, the U.S. is headed towards debt ratios reached in France, Italy, Greece, and Japan, which have faced economic stress as a result. The U.S. has more room to borrow than those countries because it controls the world's reserve currency and because of Treasury debt's position as a haven for investors. There's a problem here. This gives China, Iran, and Russia leverage on us. If they convince other countries to abandon the United States as the reserve currency, it suddenly causes rapid inflation in this country and slow growth. Here's the problem. It's not just that you can basically take every single dollar generated in our economy and now not be able to pay the national debt off. It's one, that it keeps growing. Two, that neither side wants to restrain spending. There is an argument for tax cuts because they're economically stimulative, and the way to get the debt to GDP ratio to reduce in favor of the GDP is to grow the GDP. And in fact, our economy grew at 2% last quarter. So the debt is the numerator. If you know a fraction, numerator is the number on top. The GDP is the number on the bottom. So our debt is now larger. That is, the number on top is larger than the number on bottom. So if you grow the number on the bottom, the GDP, by stimulating the economy, the ratio reduces. The problem is you can only grow the number on the bottom, the GDP, so much when debt becomes so burdensome to the country. And here's why. Let's imagine two buckets. You got the public bucket and the private bucket. The private bucket is the private sector economy. The public bucket is the government. An investor knows that it's going to get a good rate of return if it throws its money in the public bucket and buys U.S. bonds, that is, U.S. debt. It may not get the same guaranteed rate of return in the private sector. And every time the public sector grows, its bucket gets more lucrative. And so investors want to dump money into the public bucket because they're going to get a higher interest rate, a guaranteed interest rate. The U.S. pays its debts. It's obligated under the Constitution to pay its debts. So that takes money out of the private sector. That takes money out of investment. That takes money out of your local community. That takes money out of your small business. That takes money out of major corporations. That takes money out of the private sector economy, which slows GDP. That's what's happened in Germany and France and Italy and Japan and Greece, is people buy up government bonds. They don't invest in the private sector. And then the government overwhelms the private sector. And the private sector can't grow. And the private sector is where most jobs come. The private sector is where most productivity comes from. The private sector is where the nation's wealth comes from. The public sector doesn't grow wealth. It takes from rich people and gives to poor people. The private sector, the rich people grow the economy and give money to the poor people in terms of jobs and economic opportunity. And the Democrats keep saying, well, let's just tax the billionaires. You can't now tax the billionaires and substantially impact the debt. Notice they never want to cut. The only thing they want to cut is defense at a time we need greater defense spending in this country. The only thing the Democrats want to cut is defense. At some point, we're going to go off the fiscal cliff, and they're going to be very draconian cuts to the government. One of the ways we could fix things right now is to fix entitlements. We could actually restructure Social Security. You know, had we done George Bush's plan in 2005 when he wanted to do it, a lot of baby boomers would retire as multimillionaires right now. They would be significantly more wealthy right now and have more money to live on than the Social Security they're going to get paid. But they didn't want to do that. The Democrats blocked it. Republicans were scared of it. Had we done it, I want all of you to know, living on Social Security right now, you would have 5 to 7 times more money per month than you have right now had we done what George W. Bush wanted. But we didn't do it. The Democrats fear-mongered it. At some point, we're going to have to stop fear-mongering stuff and recognize we got a real problem on our hands. Doom is coming for the American economy. And it is a both sides problem, people. Democrats and Republicans alike. I support the tax cuts if they're economically stimulative. And a lot of the tax cuts, frankly, that the Republicans have done lately, they're not necessarily economically stimulative. They just feel real good to people. I'll still take them. They benefit you. They benefit me. But they're not as economically stimulative as they could be. You know, one of the things Republicans could do right now that they should consider doing, and the president doesn't even need Congress to do it. He could just get Scott Bessent to do it. And that is to do an inflation index for capital gains. So I'm dealing with the situation in real life. My parents have a farm, in the process of selling their farm for them, negotiating price and finalizing the details right now on a chunk of their farm. But it was my grandparents' farm, and they passed it to my parents. So we're going to have to figure out what is the value of the land based on when they bought it. And the inflation, had it been adjusted for inflation, the value of the land and what my parents inherited it as, had it been adjusted for inflation, they wouldn't have to pay as much in capital gains tax as they're going to have to pay now. But we've never adjusted the inheritance price. Let's say it was $200,000. I can't remember what it was, but let's say they inherited $200,000 worth of land. That land adjusted for inflation over time. That $200,000 adjusted for inflation would be, let's say, $500,000 now. And so when they sell the land, let's say they get $1 million for it. Well, they would only have to pay the capital gains tax on the million minus 500,000, not the million minus 200,000. But we haven't adjusted inheritance with inflation for capital gains purposes, and so it's costing families more money than it should. And the president could fix that. He could fix that by an act of the Secretary of the Treasury, not Congress. This is widely agreed by all sides. The president could do that if he wanted to. That would be economically stimulative. Why? It would incentivize people being able to go on and sell their property, to sell stock that they inherited, things like that. Free that up for other people in the economy. By the way, it would also long-term help open up more housing inventory in the country and lower people's prices to be able to buy into houses. And the fact that we haven't done this is insane to me. But it would be economically stimulative because it would drive the private market. So much of what the government is doing right now isn't driving the private market. It's driving the public sector. It's growing the public sector. It's growing welfare benefits and other things. And this is a real problem. Yeah. And I hope you understand and see how much of a problem it is. Fundamentally, this is not sustainable for any of us, and it's going to end badly for our children and grandchildren if we don't get a hurdle on it. And you know, I'm reminded of my conversation with Mitch McConnell when he came to our last gathering we had in Atlanta, and I asked him about the fiscal cliff, and he says, we're not going to fix it until we hit it. He was really pessimistic. I was like, Senator, why? And he's like, because if Republicans fix it tomorrow and we know how to fix it, the Democrats will blame us. If the Democrats fix it and they know how to fix it, we'll blame them. So until we arrive together and do a bipartisan act to fix it, we're not going to fix it. And we have to get to the cliff and be falling off the cliff before we fix it. He said, that's just how Washington works, whether you like it or not. And you know what? He's not wrong. He's been there long enough to know. So how do you fix it? The number one way you fix it is you extend retirement. Instead of retiring at 64, 65 for Social Security, you move to 68. That's an immediate fix. And then you can transform you can transfer Medicare. I was actually talking to a guy. So I have a new advertiser coming on soon called Ask Chapter. And they were explaining to me there are 24,000 Medicare programs around the country that you can get into. 24,000 different options for you. And people get overwhelmed with it. And the Medicare website doesn't work and doesn't explain all the options. And this company, it navigates Medicare for you, and they're salary based. They're not commission based, so they're not making a commission off of you. and they provide you the options that are best for you, and they can do it every year and move you around every year. And they actually get paid by the plans ultimately and by the Medicare program to help you navigate Medicare. It's a great program, and I know more and more people who are starting to navigate it for their families. So I'm happy to advertise for them. But it's just an example. There are 24,000 different plans, and the Medicare website can't steer you through those plans. We have just a bizarre Byzantine system. And the Republicans and the Democrats refuse to fix it until we're actually at the crisis, because they'll blame each other for partisan advantage. And so neither side wants to have the other side attack for partisan advantage. It's just wild that we are in this situation right now, but we are. Something's got to give. And you will notice on the campaign trail, very few people are talking about this. One of the few people who is Ben Sass, and he's dying. No one running for Congress wants to talk about the fiscal cliff. They want to talk about what they can get government to do for their allies. And it is, again, one of the reasons we are in a situation where we can just see ourselves headed off a cliff, and none of us can do anything about it. And the people who can do nothing. Welcome back. By the way, I should note on the economic news, the reason that our economy grew at 2% last quarter was because of investment in AI, the data centers, the computer chips, the things like that. You know, if we would allow them, these AI companies and the big tech companies, Facebook, Google, and NVIDIA and the like, they would establish essentially an economic sector for people without college degrees who want to be electricians and plumbers and welders to build these data centers. And they're great paying jobs as well. You can make six figures working to build these data centers, the plumbing, the electrical. I've got a buddy of mine who works for a company that makes the generators a lot of them rely on. He's like, they are expanding their capacity. They're struggling to fulfill the orders. They're having to hire people for that. We're in an economic boon right now for AI, and yet you will notice the massive environmental pushback. A lot of it funded under the table by China, that is desperately scared of us staying ahead of them. The Chinese do not like that we are ahead of China when it comes to AI. And we have a major pushback in this country now from people who are buying the fear scenarios about AI, and the fear scenarios are stoked propagandistically from a lot of our foreign competitors and adversaries. And I'm not making that up, by the way. This has now been thoroughly documented that China and Russia are both paying people in this country to seed propaganda to scare the mess out of you about AI data centers in your backyard. Now, are they a good fit for backyards? No. In fact, very near me, there was a community that didn't want one, and I agreed. I want to buy land out in that community. I don't want a data center in my backyard, but there are plenty of places that would love to have them. And in fact, an AI data center in your backyard could generate enough property tax revenue to give your whole community a property tax cut. If you want them, do they consume resources up front? They do consume a lot of water up front. They recycle a lot of it. Some of them do make noise. You got to be careful about the noise. But oftentimes, it's a building that employs maybe 10 people, but pays you a lot of property taxes. If you don't want one in your community, that's fine. But don't give in to the propaganda. I didn't want one in the area where I was about to buy land. But there's one coming not 10 miles from there that I fully support because it's in a different location. It's not in an area that it was essentially zoned to be a sleepy bedroom community. Out in rural areas, they make a lot of sense. And they are right now sustaining our economy. You kill the AI data centers right now, our economy goes into a recession. That's kind of wild to think about, but it's true. That's not me. That's not my opinion. That's the data. And the data is showing us we are getting a massive sustaining power for our economy from the AI data centers. And you know what? I'll take it. I will absolutely gladly take it. That being said, I want to buy some land to build a house at some point. If I win the lottery, or one of you is extremely wealthy and loves me and dies and leaves me your estate, then I'll be able to buy my land. And I don't want to see land prices drive up. Now, one of my concerns long term is if this thing goes belly up with AI, there are going to be a lot of towns that have gotten their property taxes from AI data centers, and now they got a big data center and nobody can use it for stuff. They'll have to figure out a way to repurpose it. But I'm willing to take that risk economically because right now they are pouring so much money into the economy. I say build the data centers. Now, I got to tell you not about a data center. I got to tell you about my tankless water heater. Go to talkingtankless.com and get a talking tankless water. Get a tankless water heater from Renai. Okay, so I love it. We have teenagers. We no longer have fights about hot water in our house because we never run out of hot water. One kid can take a shower and the other kid take a shower and everybody has hot water. And then I can take a shower and I still have hot water. Right now, Renai for you is giving you a $500 rebate. You got to be a homeowner, put it in your home. You got to buy it and install it by June 30th. You get $500. They're already reasonably priced, and this makes it even better for you. What do? You go to talkingtankless.com, and you'll find the rebate button. Click the rebate button. Put in your home information. And then when you put in your information, they will send you through their rebate portal. You find the Eric Erickson Consumer Rebate, and when you click it, it'll ask you for the passcode to make sure you're my audience member. And you put in Eric, E-R-I-C-K. This is the reason they're doing the passcode is because they only want it for you guys. So I'm their first big radio advertiser in quite a while. This also is a way for you to support the show. Get your tankless water heater. Go to talkingtankless.com, click the rebate page, put in your info, find the Erickson rebate, and then put in my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K is your passcode. You can also find a certified plumber to be able to install it for you. They're reasonably priced, and you will never, ever run out of hot water again. Talkingtankless.com.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. For too long, women's serious midlife health issues have been trivialized, ignored, and met with a just deal with it attitude. Many of us have been made to feel ashamed or forgotten. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But here's the powerful truth. It's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI is not just a healthcare provider. It's a woman's telehealth clinic, founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. What sets MIDI apart? We are the only women's telehealth brand covered by major insurance companies, making high-quality expert care accessible and affordable. Our clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. We offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions, from hormonal therapies and weight loss protocols to lifestyle coaching and preventative health guidance. This isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will join our patients who feel seen, heard, and prioritized. You will find that our mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the health care they deserve. Because we believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. I decided I want to spend a little more time on AI, and here's why. There have been some significant medical breakthroughs in just the past few weeks announced. In fact, my friend Ben Sass, many of you are aware of his situation, dying of pancreatic cancer. It's stage 4. It's spread through his body. And they found new medicines that are prolonging his life. He's not going to be able to survive it. But God bless him, he's essentially donated his living body to science to experiment with these new medications. Now, listen to this. An advanced AI agent has outperformed human physicians on a series of demanding tests to assess the ability to correctly diagnose patient illnesses in clinical settings. A Harvard-led study found OpenAI's O1 Preview, the company's first model capable of step-by-step reasoning, proved that it could conduct real-world triage in emergency rooms, recommend appropriate diagnostic tests, and perform case management tasks at a level that matched or surpassed the ability of even well-trained human doctors. The study, led by Harvard's researchers with collaborators at Stanford and published yesterday in Science, suggests an urgent need for controlled trials of the technology. Now, not only that, but AI has now been able to accurately diagnose body scans and detect pancreatic cancer when it's still at a treatable stage, assuming it's detected early. in ways that doctors can't. So an AI technology has basically been fed a bunch of scans, I think CT scans, not MRIs. And the AI was able to detect the cancer that the doctors with their eyes scanning and the radiologists scanning couldn't detect. At times that scientists now believe that the pancreatic cancer could be treatable. There are some remarkable advances that are coming from artificial intelligence. And I keep telling my kids, you got to learn how to use it. There was a study done, however, that came out over the weekend that kids who use AI to study remember far less of what they've learned than when they do it the old-fashioned way. When you're having your AI help you and do prep for you and analyze your notes for you, you're retaining less information. And so a reliance on AI can make you dumber if it's doing the thinking for you. So let me just give you an example of something I have done. I have my advertisers, some advertisers asked for a portfolio, a brochure essentially on my show. And I'm actually kind of impressed with the data. So I went into Claude and I said, Claude, advertisers want to get essentially a deck of my show to know what makes my show unique. And Claude said, well, I want your live streaming data. I want your list of radio stations. I want your logo. And I want any newspaper articles about you. And I fed that information. I essentially gave 5 months of my live stream data by month. I gave it the list of all my radio stations. I gave it, to the extent that publicly available, my ratings. And I gave it newspaper articles about me. And it did this 5-page document. It even prepared a map of the United States with little buttons, little bubbles where all of my affiliates are. It analyzed my live stream data. Like, for example, I didn't know. So in March, when the Iran war started, my listenership on my live stream nationwide. So we're in now 81 stations. We just picked up Houston, Texas. We're in 81 locations. And so there are a lot of places that I don't have listeners on radio stations. But in Washington, D.C., for example, Claude found that I had over 3,000 daily listeners just listening online during the month of March about the Iran war. 3,800 listeners in a single month in Washington, D.C., and I had no way to analyze that data, but Claude was able to find it, and Claude noted that my live stream data doubled in March. I had more listeners in March than February, and this was a mid-April project, so we didn't even have the April data yet, but March had double the listeners of any of the prior months. And it did that, and it prepared this guide, and it used my show logo, and it matched the colors of the logo and how it styled stuff. I was very impressed with it, just in terms of the data output. And by the way, it came up with bullet points, and it came up with the bullet points. I didn't even come up with the bullet points, and the bullet points were really good things. Pointing out that there's an article from a while back that from The Atlantic about the number of members of Congress who have me on speed dial. Among Republican members of Congress, which is true. I get calls from them all the time still. And how there's a lot of research about my show that's out there that you guys who listen, that you're way more interested in life than raw politics. You just come here because you know I'm going to tell you the truth and get you informed and get you back to life, knowing what's going on, not the partisan spin. And Claude just put all that stuff in. And it highlighted, for example, that I've got I don't have the, you listen to some conservative, let's just be honest, you listen to some conservative radio out there, and you're going to get the survival foods. The world is going to come to an end. Put this food in your basement for when it does, so you won't starve. Superfood, survival food. I refuse to do. I simply refuse. Y'all know, I've told you, I've turned down like $500,000 on sports betting apps because I'm not going to advertise sports betting apps. I'm not going to advertise survival foods telling you the world is going to come to an end, the Civil War is coming, and you're all going to die unless you get survival foods. And I'm sure not going to those nasty drinks. Y'all look at me seriously. I mean, I'm a middle-aged fat white guy, and I'm working on my macros to lose weight. I've been putting in my 10,000 steps a day. I started on the shots, and then you people scared me about them, and so I decided I got to do it the old-fashioned way. And it's hard, and it sucks, but it's working. And I've lost weight, but I'm not drinking those drinks that, the ones that the green and the red drinks are like, oh, you drink this and it'll get you through your day and it tastes like lemonade and it looks like sludge, but it's got all your, I refuse to advertise. I'm not going to use it, so I'm not going to advertise for it. But I've had in the past, I've had a gun manufacturer, don't right now, but they now have a golf company, Van Allen Golf, and Van Allen Golf got a golf advertiser, got a bank, got a water heater company, Renai, and I don't have to do those. And so anyway, so Claude recognized all that and it put it in by itself. I did not have to tell it. It put all that stuff in by itself. I was really impressed with it. But it wasn't doing thinking for me. It was doing design work that I'm not capable of doing. And that's the clue to using AI now, is let it do the stuff you're not capable of doing if you need it. So, for example, my wife the other day had to have an MRI and they sent her the records. She had not yet talked to the doctor. I said, feed it into Claude. And it was able to explain that basically there's nothing wrong with her. And the things that the MRI picked up are just because of her age. That's what you expect from people her age. So it was no big deal, but she couldn't understand the gobbledygook from the doctor. So you can use AI now, or you can use it for image creation. Grok and ChatGPT are great for image creation, but using it to outsource your thinking, not good. Using it to write for you, not good. You lose your critical thinking skills when you let Claude start writing for you, when you let Claude or ChatGPT or the other start thinking for you. So use it for things you can't do. So I'll tell you, Claude now every morning sends me an email. When I get up, I have an email from Claude, and it says, here are some of the big headlines from overnight that you need to know about that might not otherwise get mentioned. And here's what the market futures are doing. Here's what we can expect from the stock market. And here's what's going on in Congress today. Now, Claude's not doing my show prep for me, but it's telling me where to look for the morning, gives me an idea of what the markets are, what's happening in Congress. And here are the big stories that percolated overnight while I was asleep that I can pay attention to. None of what I've talked about this hour, by the way, was in that email. In fact, I still do my own show prep. Charlie and Philip and Fisher, they add stuff to my Slack, but I do most of my own show prep. I refuse to outsource my show prep to other people. This is the Eric Erickson Show. This isn't the Eric and Fringe Show. I should do my own show prep. I don't have a script. I kind of wing it. I freeform it. Things change. But all of this is to say, don't be scared of the AI, but know how to use the AI. Doctors are starting to realize that AI can detect things and patterns that they can't. And so in cancer diagnosis, AI is starting to be very, very useful for detecting patterns that show when a cancer might develop. When you have 20,000 people and a certain portion of those people get cancer, and all of those people in that portion that got cancer have had the same recurring problems in the past, you start to understand that maybe they might get cancer. Let's take my wife for an example. Now, this is not AI. This is doctors, though. My wife in 2006 was given 6 months to live. It turned out to be a benign condition. The Mayo Clinic realized it was a benign condition. Local doctors had never seen it before. They thought it was cancer. The Mayo Clinic said no. But in the intervening 10 years, the Mayo Clinic had started seeing people who had that benign condition develop lung cancer. And so 10 years later, 2016, they had realized this pattern was real from study. They called my wife. They said, you need to get checked. We think you might have lung cancer. And sure enough, she did. My wife and Rush Limbaugh had the same genetic form of lung cancer. Rush didn't get his cancer from smoking. It was genetic. And they never caught his. He didn't have that underlying prior condition that my wife had that was a red flag to the doctors that something could be going. So by the time Rush's cancer, there were symptoms and issues, it was too late. My wife was caught very early, but it was because the doctors had recognized the pattern. And now AI can recognize many more of those patterns much quicker. And the result is that the survivability of cancer is going up. The detection of cancer is happening earlier. People are getting treated better for cancer. By the way, this is one reason why some people now, there's this massive spike in cancers for young people. I had no idea. Was talking to an oncology expert the other day, and he confirmed this is true. Did you know? I had no idea. Did you know that almost every single person develops cancerous tumors? Did you know this? I had no idea. Almost every single person develops a cancerous tumor that the body takes care of. It's only when the body can't take care of the cancerous tumor that the cancer really then does develop. And so one of the reasons doctors are beginning to believe that so many young people are getting cancer is everybody gets it. People are going through these whole body scans now. Whole body scans are becoming very, very common, full body MRIs and things like that. And so young people are going in for those scans and they're finding they've got these cancerous tumors, and everybody does. And they're freaking out about it. And a lot of doctors are like, actually, maybe the treatment is we just don't, we don't do anything right now. We see how it progresses. And now they're turning AI onto this as well to be able to detect the patterns to determine whether or not the cancer is going to actually resolve itself within the body or not. I had no idea. Now, listen, if you're an oncology expert, you don't need to at me on this. I talked to a buddy of mine who is actually a very good oncology expert, world renowned, and he was saying, yes, that everybody, we believe, tends to get some sort of malignant tumor that the body takes care of itself. And yes, there are real issues with young people getting particularly colon cancer these days. And we haven't quite figured out why it is there are lots of prevailing theories. There are several ones with chemicals on lawns and foods. There's another on lifestyle changes. But he said also, accepting those sorts of things, yes, people are probably going to get some sort of cancer lesion the body takes care of. And if you keep going every 6 months for these diagnoses, you might find out that you have cancer and freak out about it when actually you may never have known you had cancer and your body took care of it. Which again, I'm today years old learning that this is a thing. But his point of this conversation as well was how AI is now making it really easy for doctors to look at these situations and say, okay, you have this, but this is the thing, your body's going to take care of yourself. Go eat right and exercise and come back in 6 months and let's see if it's still there. Don't freak out about it. This is common. And AI can distinguish these things. It's weird, but you know what? AI can also be malicious. I mean, it can hack your computer. It can ruin your life. It can be used by foreign governments to get into our systems and break us down and hack us. There are concerns. But it's kind of actually cool, frankly, that we're headed in a way that if we learn how to use it the right way, it could actually help us and save lives. We don't need to be scared of it. We need to know how to use it. And the number one way to use it is to not outsource your thinking and not outsource your abilities to it, but let it supplement the things you can't do with the ideas in your head. So when you have the idea and you don't know how to do the idea, let it do that. But if you can write, don't let it write for you. If you can think, don't let it think for you. If you know how to retrieve knowledge, don't let it retrieve knowledge for you. And you know what? We're all going to be okay.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com helping people worldwide getting work done faster and better. The same Monday.com designed for every team and every industry. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com that your team will actually love using. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free. Yes, the same Monday.com.
All right, I'm returning here at the end to beat a dead horse. In Louisiana, the governor of Louisiana stopped the primary election right before early voting started happening. Absentee ballots had already started coming in, but the early vote had not happened. The reason he stopped it is because the United States Supreme Court just declared a congressional district in Louisiana unconstitutional. And then a 3-judge panel in Louisiana ordered that there be an immediate remedy prior to the election. So the governor stopped the election in Louisiana. Conservative activists are beating up Brian Kemp in Georgia for refusing to do the same, but there's a difference. One, the state of Louisiana is not the state of Georgia. Every state has a different constitution. Every state has different laws. In Georgia, the early vote had already begun. The Supreme Court, it was very clear in Purcell versus Gonzalez that when early voting happens, you cannot suspend an election. When people have already started voting, you can't stop the election. Georgia cannot stop its election to draw new congressional districts. The Supreme Court says no. But also, Georgia law says no. Georgia law is different from Louisiana law. So for those of you beating up the governor of the state of Georgia for not suspending the election in Georgia that has already begun, you are ignorant and you're being fed flames to fuel your rage online by people who know no better. And you say, Erickson, how do you know? Well, unlike you, I was an election lawyer in the state of Georgia. The governor of the state of Georgia doesn't have the power to do this. Louisiana is different. The Mississippi governor has now said he wants new congressional districts drawn, and the primaries have already happened. I don't know that any federal judge is going to let him do that. Maybe they will, but I have a hard time believing that a federal judge is going to allow Mississippi to do this. We will wait and see what happens. But I can tell you in Georgia, they can't do that. You may not like that fact, and if you don't like that fact, you can attempt to change the laws of the state of Georgia, but you don't live in the state of Georgia, most of you listening right now. So Brian Kemp can't do it. Now, he said we can change him for 2028, and he can do that, and it looks like they might do that, and that would also be a good thing. This demand, this bullying tactic that we must get our way, and shame on you for staying in our way, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. But people just want to fan the flames with a lot of ignorance, frankly, on this sort of stuff, and it drives me crazy. The reason the governor of Georgia is one of the most popular governors in the nation among Republicans and Democrats is he kind of resisted the rank partisan animosities that are fanning the flames. He stood up to Donald Trump. He stood up to the Democrats. He's gotten attacked by both. And he's just marched to the beat of his own drummer. And I think he's done a very good job marching to the beat of his own drummer on this stuff. And instead of being vilified and attacked by Republicans who don't know the laws in the state of Georgia, they should say, you know what? This guy knows how to win his state and also get Republicans elected in his state. Maybe we should be more like him and not like the people who keep losing us and costing us coalitions of people. Now, I don't want you to lose out on your business. That's why you should go to visioncomputers.com or call them at 404-COMPUTE and tell them I sent you, and they can build you a brand new computer. They can do a remarkable job for you at Vision Computers, building you computers, getting you situated with your company. So, for example, your in-house IT guys, well, your in-house IT guy, you might not be able to afford him, but you can afford Vision Computers, and they can be your in-house IT guy. They can be your managed IT service. So your employees get a phone number. They call day or night, 24/7. And if they have a problem with their computer, Vision can keep them up and going. So your employees can be great at their jobs, and Vision can be great at the computers. You can do this for your home as well, for your loved ones. All you do is call them at 404-COMPUTE. They can build you a new computer, and if you buy a new computer for your home or your office, the IT support comes with it. If you just want the IT support, it's $199 a year. It's a great program. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Let Vision Computers take care of all of your computer needs. And you guys have a fantastic weekend. I'm off to play golf.